Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Balancing Act. I'm Olga Villaverdi.
And I'm Montel Williams.
Today, we're going behind the mystery of ADH1, why your muscle cramping, fatigue, and brain fog could be genetic.
Wow. And I guess you're going to be going in the kitchen beefing up a little bit, huh?
You know I love to cook.
There you go.
I can't wait. Plus, insurance that meets all your needs.
Well, The Balancing Act starts right now.
Today on Behind the Mystery, we're exploring a rare genetic condition that results in chronically low levels of calcium in the blood and too much calcium in the urine.
Well, patients can experience a wide variety of symptoms, from muscle cramping to weakness to seizures, even loss of consciousness.
Our story begins in Aiken, South Carolina, where we meet Craig, a man living with Autosomal Dominant Hypocalcemia Type 1, or ADH1, and his mother, Bonnie, who passionately cared for her son throughout his childhood after losing 2 children to this condition.
Let's go behind the mystery of ADH1.
I do remember, going to school and I couldn't concentrate. I would get tingling. The cramping was the worst. Just out of the blue, I would just cramp up into a fetal position sometimes. My hands would cramp up, and it was painful.
The Balancing Act met with endocrinologist Dr. Dolores Shobak to understand more about this genetic condition.
ADH1, or Autosomal Dominant Hypocalcemia Type 1, is a form of genetic hypoparathyroidism. It's a disorder where there's a mutation in the calcium sensing receptor gene, and it's really important in the function of the parathyroid glands and in kidney function. This is an autosomal dominant condition. When a patient has ADH type 1, that patient will have low blood calcium level, a high serum phosphorus level. The parathyroid hormone level in the blood is also quite low. The symptoms of ADH1 are particularly troublesome when they include muscle cramping, tension in the muscles, numbness and tingling, particularly around the mouth and lips and in the fingertips and toes. Often difficulty concentrating, focusing, difficulty with their memory, and difficulty with day-to-day function.
When Craig's teacher wanted to hold him back in the 1st grade due to his trouble focusing, Bonnie searched for a doctor that would take his symptoms seriously.
I said, I think he has hypoparathyroidism because his dad has it. And I said, but nobody will believe me. And he said, well, we'll just do some blood work. So they ran the calcium, and sure enough, Craig, the reason he wasn't paying attention in school is because his calcium was too low. They called it Idiopathic Hypoparathyroidism, was the diagnosis. And that's when we were introduced to the pediatric endocrinologist.
Back in the 90s, I was going to a doctor in Augusta, Georgia, and he was giving me all the regular calcium and vitamin D, and we were also checking my kidney function, and we were trying to have a happy median between a good calcium and good kidney function. And we were getting the good calcium, but the kidney function was getting worse and worse. Part of the problem with the calcium building up in the kidneys is you get kidney stones. I have what they call nephrocalcinosis, which is a calcified kidneys. I talked with the doctor, and he said, there was really nothing we could do except you can stop taking all the calcium. I decided, let's try it and see. And I learned what my limitations were. I couldn't continue with not taking medication for this condition. I had to do something.
Desperate for answers, Craig searched the internet and found the Hypoparathyroidism Association, where he was able to learn about clinical research being done and was even part of a clinical trial. One of the requirements, a genetic test.
And that's when I was diagnosed with ADH1. Finally, somebody has diagnosed me, because all my life, I was told that they just didn't know. I did this study so I could better know what my condition was. But it's also the kids that have this condition they won't go through what I went through.
Making the diagnosis of ADH1 can be challenging. Patients can go a very long time without having the correct diagnosis be made. ADH1 is a form of hypoparathyroidism, and many patients who have ADH1 don't actually get a specific diagnosis at the time that they're diagnosed as having a genetic or a non-surgical form of hypoparathyroidism. The way that I approach the diagnosis of ADH1 would of course start with careful biochemical testing, the low blood calcium, parathyroid hormone level, the phosphorus level, and looking at the 24-hour urinary calcium excretion. So to make the diagnosis of ADH1, definitively one needs a genetic test, and I'm happy to say that no-charge genetic testing can be done through Invitae and its partner BridgeBio. I like to make sure that that individual has genetic counseling after that diagnosis is made, and family members should be offered testing with blood calcium levels and parathyroid hormone levels. And if there's any question at all, they can undergo genetic testing themselves. So once the diagnosis is made of ADH1, it's very important for that individual to be seen by an endocrinologist who's comfortable with managing this disorder. If kidney stones, kidney insufficiency, or chronic kidney disease have occurred, often patients benefit from seeing a kidney specialist or nephrologist. We don't have a treatment that addresses the base problem in ADH1. So the standard management is one where one must very carefully manage calcium and activated vitamin D intake on these patients. If hypercalcemia occurs, kidney function can be damaged, and if high urinary calcium levels occur, this can lead to kidney stones, infections, and even reduced kidney function.
You know, when I was younger, I assumed that everything was calcium related in my life. So I would over-medicate, and I think that might have been attributed to my kidney problems that I have right now. Being diagnosed early would have stopped that.
So an ideal therapy for ADH type 1 would be a therapy that targets the calcium sensing receptor. And this could be a small molecule or a drug which changes the sensitivity of that receptor to the ambient calcium concentration it's in, both in the context of the parathyroid and in the kidney. So clinical trials are incredibly important in rare diseases like ADH type 1. They advance the science of the disease. They allow us to understand what a mutation does in the context of a human, and they're critically important for developing and testing and validating and getting approved new and effective therapies for the condition. So to the newly diagnosed patient, I would say we're going to have a long-term good relationship working together to make sure that you don't experience the complications of too much treatment, that you're carefully treated and carefully monitored, and that you know as much as possible about the best care that you can take for yourself and for your family.
Just make sure if you're concerned about a condition with your child, keep looking till you find somebody that'll listen to you, because that's what I had to do.
I was stronger because of her, you know, because you know, she didn't let my disease rule me. She's the reason why I am today.
For more information on hypoparathyroidism, visit these websites.
Of course, you can always get more information if you go to our website, thebalancingact.com. Well, welcome back. Olga's in the kitchen with a grilling dad to show us how to beef it up.
Today I'm in the kitchen with the man known as Grilling with Dad. Maciek Zurawski, is that right?
That's it, you got it.
I got it right. He joins me with some quick and easy ways to beef up mealtime. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm thrilled you're here. We've got an amazing display. You brought a lot of protein to the table. My favorite, I will say. But first, tell me about your love of beef.
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for cooking, especially barbecue, grilled
Me
beef,
too.
steaks.
Love
right?
steaks.
It's delicious.
Medium rare?
Always medium rare. Perfect way to do it, right? And then about 6 years ago, my wife got me a grill for Father's Day. So I decided to start sharing my recipes on social media, on Instagram, and that's kind of how this all snowballed into what it is now. So I create these easy to follow recipes that anybody can make at home and cook for their families.
I always want to learn because I love to cook. I'm passionate about cooking. I love to grill,
Yep.
But sometimes I don't want to go outside. So bring it inside to the kitchen and kind of give me some ideas that you have created.
Right, so this is cooking on a cast iron skillet is the perfect way of
I
cooking.
have 2 of them.
Right, it's so super versatile and it's great for steaks because you get this amazing crust. So today we're gonna cook a New York strip. It's a USDA choice graded strip from Swift Meats. They are delicious, amazing. And we're gonna make this butter adding our fresh herbs. So we have thyme, rosemary, we have parsley, and you can really use anything that you might have at home for this. And then this will go on top of the steak. At the very end, we've got some lemon zest, and basically just mix all this together. And this is room temperature butter, so it's soft, right?
Okay.
Easy to mix up. And then what I like to do is use plastic wrap to roll this up into a log, put this in the fridge, and let this firm up, right? So
What
you're
a
left
great idea.
with something like this. Right?
Awesome. And then when it comes to the beef, what
So
are we
let's
cooking?
do the beef. Let's get this out of the way. So today we're using this delicious USDA choice from Swift Meats. So we're gonna season this pretty simply. We're gonna do salt, right? You're gonna go pretty heavily with the salt
Okay.
and pepper, right?
Sea salt?
Sea salt, yep, coarse ground, just kind of sticks better. And then repeat this on the other side. Flip this guy over. And while we're seasoning this, our cast iron is preheating. This is super important, right? You wanna get this amazing crust on your steak. So again, season this. This is ready to go. And we're gonna go with just a little olive oil in our pan and a pat of butter, right? You can see that
I
smelting.
love when those 2 things are combined. I think it makes a huge difference.
It is, you know, the olive oil will prevent the butter from burning and help develop this amazing crust. And then our steak goes in next. So lay this down away from you. As you can see, it's just starting to sear. And we're not gonna touch this for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's gonna develop that crust. We're gonna flip it over, then repeat this on the other side, and then pop this guy in the oven to finish cooking.
In the oven?
Yeah, so that's where the trick really comes in, is gonna continue cooking the steak without overcooking the outside. This is gonna be a perfect medium rare finish. You always wanna make sure you use a meat thermometer, right, just to make sure that it's cooked to your liking, and it will be perfect. And then you just sear about 2 minutes. You don't wanna disturb it, don't touch it, don't flip it, and 2 minutes later, we're gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the other side.
So you love meat. You've been a beef lover just like me. Swift Meats, I guess, paint the picture for me in terms of what the taste is like. Why are they different?
Oh,
Moist.
it's amazing. Yeah, it's super tender, very flavorful. You know, you get that good beefy flavor coming through. And these
Protein
are,
rich?
Oh, super protein, right? They're very healthy. A 3-ounce cooked serving of beef has 50% of your recommended value of protein and 39% of iron. So again, you know, being a dad, this is super important when I cook for my kids. I want them to eat not only delicious meats, but also nutritious. And this is a great way of doing it.
And while you're cooking the New York strip, I see over here we have a filet mignon.
So we have a filet, right? That's a super tender cut. We have a ribeye, which is a little bit more fatty than the strip, right? You get that
My
fat
favorite.
rendering out. Oh, it's perfect. I have a top sirloin, which has more of that beefy flavor.
Okay.
And of course, the New York strip. So let's pop this in the oven. So the trick with cast iron cooking is after you get that nice sear, right? You flip this guy over. And then we're gonna put this in the oven to continue cooking.
Really?
Because it's not gonna be fully cooked just with the cast iron, right? So you wanna finish in the oven.
Now that I've never done before.
So this, again, this ensures it's cooked. And then once it's cooked.
How long would you have left it in there?
So a lot of this will depend on the thickness of the steak. You just want to make sure you use a meat thermometer to monitor the temperature, but about 3-4 minutes is what you're looking for.
That looks great.
Now when this thing is out, it smells amazing. You have this beautiful crust from the cast iron. And then we're going to take a couple pats of our compound butter, right? Place it on top, and then while it's resting, the butter's going to melt and just cover it with those herbs, that garlic, and make it super delicious.
This is so great. Any final thoughts before I dig in?
So you can go to Swift Meats to get more ideas for recipes, more inspiration. And one thing to keep in mind with steaks is you want to cut it across the grain. Once it's cooked, you can see the strands running in the meat. So when you cut across the grain, you get a more tender bite and a delicious final product.
Absolutely. For our viewers who'd like more information, where can they go, Chef?
SwiftMeats.com for more recipes and inspiration.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I do need a fork. I got the knife, and I can eat that whole thing. By the way, if you'd like more information on Swift Steaks, you just go to our website, thebalancingact.com. We'll be right back. We've been sharing great information on insurance from Family First Life. I recently spent time at their headquarters in Boca Raton, Florida. Today, we're learning more about the client-agent experience. Take a look. At Family First Life, the relationship that develops between agent and their clients is paramount during the process. I sat down with agent Frank DeSena and his client Nicole to learn firsthand. So Frank, let's talk about that relationship that you have to develop with your client.
First, it's building trust. A lot of the middle America market that we serve, they've been through life, right? They've lost family, they've lost, some of them even children, loved ones. They're looking for someone that they can trust and rely on, someone that's going to show up. If they pass away, who's the person that's going to come and take care of their family when they're not around? And that's who we are.
And so Nicole, what were you looking for when you came in?
I just needed someone I could trust, and once he came in, he told me about everything, and it just sounded really good, and I needed to make sure that my kids would be taken care of after I'm gone.
How do you tailor the presentations? Because, for example, Nicole has 3 kids, I have 2. Our needs are different.
Right.
So how did you tailor it for Nicole?
So at Family First Life, obviously, just within the name, we put the families first, right? So I'm not there to just offer a product. It's to make sure that when I leave there, if something happened, God forbid, to the family or that client, the family's taken care of and not left with a burden.
How was your experience, would you say?
He gave me all the information I needed, and he let me know, like, okay, my oldest daughter, she's able to call him. He gave me his number. I just know that they're going to be taken care of, and it was the best experience I had.
Frank, final thoughts?
I got into this line of work because my best friend Will passed away when we were 23 years old, and had to see his mom, single mom, have to bury her son, something no parent ever plans or wishes to do. For me, I know the importance of it, and at Family First Life, it's our duty to make sure that we get in front of as many people and share the importance of making sure they have coverage.
And it's something that I think you all say here, set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
And Nicole, that's exactly what you did. You said it, and now you can forget it.
Yes, I have a peace of mind now, so I feel great.
Fantastic. Good luck to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Frank, thanks again.
My pleasure.
For more information, you can go to familyfirstlife.com or just go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Remember to head to our Facebook page, like us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and visit thebalancingact.com to enter our latest sweepstake or giveaway.
There you go. And make sure you stay safe. Love that family of yours. We'll see you next time.